Hey guys, today's day 7 of learning OpenGL to make my game engine. Today I learned about textures, and it's basically what I did on my screen. It's basically a square, and I added a texture relative to each vertex. It translates to a UV coordinate on the texture map, or the min map. And I was able to do this by first you have to activate a texture, or some type of texture unit is what they call it. This is like a VAO if you know what that is. It's a vector array object that contains vertices, but except it's for textures now. So what you want to do is you have to generate a texture object, and then relative to that, you're going to bind a GL underscore texture underscore 2D. This is basically saying, I want to use a 2D texture, and I'm going to bind this specific texture ID to it. Once you bind it, you could set up these texture settings, and you could basically have a wrap, so relative to the UV coordinates on like the screen, you could say, oh, I want the texture to be more stretched, or I want it to be closer relative to this vertex. So that's basically what that does. You have to load in the texture image by making it and turning it into regular bytes. And then once you do that, you load up the actual texture data to the texture buffer. And then you could generate something called a min map, which basically resizes the texture depending on how big or far the object is. I'm not like too in depth with that yet, so later on I'll know. And then it's just freeing the data. So yeah, that was basically it.